tonight. It's not over yet. The Teamsters union served CN Rail with 72-hour strike notice, and the Canadian Pacific Kansas City stoppage continues. Also, the stress of climate change on humans is the inspiration behind a new art installation in Regina. Plus, the Saskatchewan Roughriders extend their losing streak in Toronto.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Friday, August 23rd, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. The union that represents thousands of rail workers across Canada is challenging the federal government's push to get railways running again. Canada's two largest railway companies locked out workers yesterday, but the union has now issued a 72 strike-hour notice to CN Rail. Terry Reith has more.
Just when it appeared to be ending, Canada's rail shutdown became far more complicated. Rather than abiding by the federal government's demand for binding arbitration, the Teamsters union served strike notice on CN.
This strike continued as far as we are concerned. We notified the CN and CP the strike notice, and we will use our constitutional right to fight this the company here.
The union is also challenging the constitutionality of the minister's order. Caught in the middle, prairie farmers harvesting crops with no way of shipping them.
We are being held hostage because we got two groups, the union and the rail lines. I blame them both. They pick the worst time of year every time they try to do this stunt, and they come hoping that the farmers will plead and then something will be resolved, and it's getting ridiculous.
And it's not just farmers. Auto parts, lumber, chemicals and commodities all roll on the rails. $1 billion worth of goods every single day. So this disruption will have a serious impact on Canada's economy.
There's going to be a lot of disruption. Prices are going to increase. Freight has to move, and whether it moves by rail, or air or ocean or road, prices will go up.
CPKC says it's preparing to resume services in compliance with the federal government's order. CN said it restarted operations Friday morning.
So while we're focused on powering the economy and getting goods moving again, the Teamsters are focused on getting back to the picket lines and shutting everything down.
The union makes no apologies for prolonging the stoppage.
We understand there's going to be consequences, but the strike is a strike, and a lockout is a lockout. And keep in mind, the reason why we are here first is because they decided to put us on the street.
The Canada Industrial Relations Board is now hearing from all sides. With the CN strike notice due to take effect Monday, there appears to be a little likelihood that Canada's rail system will be back to normal anytime soon. Terry Reith, CBC News, Edmonton.
No surprise, the shutdown has been complicated in this province as well, leaving shippers here in limbo. Some industries had voiced relief at the Fed stepping in, demanding binding arbitration last night, but now things are unclear. Unless the Canada Industrial Board intervenes, CN rail workers will be on strike next week.
We are uncertain as to what all this means. Right now, I don't believe any rail cars are actually running or will be taking inventory, which is a problem because they haven't been moving since Thursday. And in some cases, product hasn't been moving from before that.
You never know, this could be over within a week, but if it continues, you're going to see serious disruptions, and you're going to demonstrate the power of workers in this industry and recognition that they provide an incredible amount of value to the economy, and they want to be respected by the companies that employ them.
The Mining Association says it could lose out on contracts to those outside of Canada if this strike continues. It says the disruption could also have an impact on mine production and site workers. As we look back to school in about a week and a half's time, hundreds of families lined up outside the White Buffalo Youth Lodge in Saskatoon today, hoping for some help with school supplies. It's the 10th year Nutrien, and the Saskatoon Tribal Council sponsored the event. The doors opened just after 9 a.m., but people started lining up more than an hour before. Besides brand new backpacks, families also got free school supplies, and there was a lot to go around, enough to fill 3,500 backpacks. People were also treated to a barbecue, games, and free haircuts. Earlier this week, Regina City Council rejected calls to change the name of Dewdney Avenue. The street was named after a man who was lieutenant governor at one time, but also helped form the Indian residential school system. As Louise Big Eagle reports, the decision has left many people unhappy.
They really don't care about Indigenous people. And you know, if it comes to money, then they care.
Jolie Big Eagle Kuwaidowe has been pushing for the name change for years. 8 years ago, the city came to her to help to work on changes related to truth and reconciliation. This was one of them. Big Eagle Kuwaidowe says now she's disappointed.
That's what I've learned from this vote of no is let's find another way. And for me, that's resilience. That's how we've survived all these years when we, you know, history books have said they wanted us dead, right? They wanted us to die off so that they could take the land. And that, to me, that's what Edgar Dewdney represents.
So this is completely erased from the historical consciousness of Saskatchewanians.
Rob Inez teaches Indigenous history at McMaster University. He says most people don't know who Edgar Dewdney really was. He says he's not surprised the city would rather uphold the legacy of genocide than embrace reconciliation.
They're going to make a lot of money off of the service fees that urban reserves are paying the city, but the city won't want to actually turn around and take a step towards reconciliation by changing the name.
Big Eagle Kuwaidowe says even though Dewdney Avenue will not be renamed, the work to educate others will continue. She wants this to be an opportunity for others to learn how to navigate a colonial system and get their voices heard. Louise Big Eagle, CBC News, Regina.
Saskatoon Tribal Council Chief Mark Arcan says politics will not help people experiencing homelessness. The future of an emergency shelter in that city is becoming a top issue in Saskatoon's upcoming civic election. Some of the mayoral candidates have pledged to relocate the STC's Wellness Centre, and Arcan isn't opposed to moving the emergency shelter out of the Fairhaven neighborhood. But he says no matter where it's located, it needs to include proper services.
If we don't have a commercial kitchen to feed people properly, what are they going to do, right? We have to cater in food to do that. It's unfortunate, but we've been doing it for 2 years. It's not the most ideal way, but it's getting food inside of people that they need. Showers. We have a tub and shower, 2 of them in our facility. It's not adequate. We've been asking for 2 years. We can't get these proper services. People saying, oh, let's bring in temporary. Temporary is just a Band-Aid solution. There's no proper investments or real investments to make change, and that's the problem that I have. Politics is what's being part of this problem as well, and I think people need to be inside the fire, which we are as a service provider, and if you're not, stay out of it and just do your own thing because you're not helping the situation.
Saskatoon's civic election is set for November the 13th. The Saskatchewan Roughriders' winless streak has been extended to 5 games in the most Canadian way possible, as the Toronto Argonauts were able to squeak past the Green and White 2019 last night. The game started well for the Riders. It was 10-0 after the first quarter, but their offense got stuck in the mud, and the Argos were able to move the football as the game went on. The only lead of the game for Toronto was the game-winning Rouge off a missed field goal. The loss was just another missed opportunity for the Riders.
Just tough. You know, it's I feel like, you know, every week now for the last few, we're finding new ways to end the game like that. And it just crushes me for the guys. They're working pretty dang hard, and I know what they're going to do is they're going to try to find a way to work even harder, man. But it's got to get done.
The Riders will now have more than a week to prepare for the biggest game of the season. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers come to town for the Labor Day Classic. That's next Sunday at 5 o'clock at Mosaic Stadium. Whew, it was not an easy day to be outside. The smoke back and thick in the Bridge City today under an air quality advisory because of wildfire smoke. It was hazy, hot, and a little windy in Saskatoon today, and the rest of the province pretty warm too. So what is to come for the weekend ahead? Tyreek Reed will have your answer after the break. Stay with us. The effects of climate change can be seen all around us. Fires, floods, scorching hot weather, and tornadoes. It can also cause a lot of stress to humans, and that's the inspiration behind a new art installation in Regina. Artist Amy Schneider's exhibit is called Crushed, and it's on now at the 5th Parallel Gallery at the U of R.
Remorse, guilt, anger, general stress. I use the term climate anxiety as a sort of catch-all or an umbrella term. It really could actually be any difficult emotion that one faces as a result of climate change. I'm standing in the gallery for my Masters of Fine Arts graduating show titled Crushed. When people enter the space, if they choose to enter, they'll see that the floor is covered in about 1,500 extremely thin ceramic bowls. I named the show Crushed because that word conveys how I have felt at times when faced with evidence of what's happening in the world due to climate change. I first noticed this most viscerally in the summer of 2021 when my family made our annual road trip out to BC, where I'm from. And on that year's trip, we drove past active fires, smoldering forests. The sky was constantly filled with smoke. Ash was falling on our car. And knowing how bad things are, it really became like a physical experience for me of how serious the situation is. And following that summer, I fell into a period of very bad anxiety and depression, and for a while, I wasn't able to do anything. I couldn't make common little decisions. Everything caused anxiety, and I became really bleak and completely hopeless about our future, my son's future. This text is a bit of a narrative about what I've experienced when I've felt great anxiety about the future. If people want to read the text, then they'll need to decide how to navigate the bowls on the floor. You know, will they carefully, gingerly step between them so as not to crush them? People will reflect on how they have been interacting with the bowls on the floor and what that might signify.
This weather update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Regina, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist Tyreek Reed joins me now. A hot day, but a hazy one again.
Very, very hazy again, Sam, as you mentioned, especially for those of us in the north, still seeing those air quality advisories, and now those have expanded down into south and central because that smoke is still heading southeast. Earlier in Regina, we did have an air quality advisory that has since ended, but we are still seeing that over in Saskatoon. Heading into the weekend, the smoke will continue to travel southeast, so we could see conditions improve in some places like Saskatoon, but further down to the southeast, like over in Estevan and even here in Regina, we could see that smoke come back in, and that will make way for some air quality statements and advisories. We're not just tracking the smoke, though. We're also tracking the messy weather as usual. We're seeing that to the southeast, but it's the system in the southwest that we really want to focus on. Because of that, we do have some severe thunderstorm watches in effect, and as that heads northeast tonight, we could see those turn into warnings. So we're going to keep track of that. That's going to head northeast. We could see that in places like Regina through the overnight. Waking up tomorrow in the Churchill region, we are going to be waking up to those showers because of that system, and that's going to continue to head to the far north. Later on tomorrow, we are going to see another system of severe weather make its way into the southeast. We could see that here in Regina, so keep that in mind as you're planning your Saturday night. Heading into Sunday, we are going to be met with mostly dry conditions through most of the province. So we are going to be dealing with those windy and also rainy conditions for now, but that is going to end later on in the weekend. Looking at current temperatures right now, sitting above seasonal in the north, seeing daytime highs around 25 degrees in Stony Rapids, heading down into south and central. We are seeing daytime highs in the low 30s in some areas, but also in the upper 20s. So we're really feeling that warm air throughout most of the province. And of course, we can count on those winds to help cool us down. To the southwest right now, those winds are gusting close to 60 kilometers an hour in swift current because of that system that is coming in. And we can see these windy conditions continue as we head into Saturday as well, especially for our friends in the north who are going to be getting that system later on tomorrow. Heading into Sunday as well, still dealing with those windy conditions, especially to the northeast in Stony Rapids. Those winds will be gusting near 60 kilometers an hour. Looking at the 7-day forecast here in Regina, going to be dealing with that rain tomorrow night, so keep that in mind. On Sunday, mostly dry conditions, but that rain will make its way back in as we start our last week of August. And of course, those chillier temperatures will also make its way back in. We're looking at daytime highs near 20 degrees on Wednesday. In Saskatoon as well, also seeing those rainy conditions tomorrow. Sunday, mostly dry conditions, and also on Monday, but looking at Wednesday and Thursday, that fall air is really beginning to come in, Sam.
All right, thanks for this, Ty.
No problem.
Stay with us. We have more news for you after the break. New restrictions are coming for flavored nicotine pouches. As of next week, it will be illegal for them to be sold anywhere but from behind a pharmacy counter. Marina von Stackelberg has more on the new rules.
Okay, one green and one purple.
In a matter of days, nicotine pouches will be pulled from gas stations and convenience store shelves. Fruity flavors will be completely recalled. Only mint will be available if you ask a pharmacist for it.
How come they look like candy? I don't think so.
But inside this container are tiny pouches placed between your gum and cheek. Doctors say they release the nicotine equivalent of smoking 3 to 4 cigarettes. Anti-tobacco organizations have been calling for a crackdown for nearly a year. They say the pouch flavors and bright packages do resemble candy, and teens are using them.
It has been so deeply disturbing to see so many young people becoming addicted to these nicotine pouches who've never had any interaction with cigarettes.
Imperial Tobacco, the cigarette company that makes Zonic pouches, will have 6 months to pull all advertising that could appeal to youth and to change its packaging to include a warning label. Health advocates say that can't come soon enough.
The fall term in school is very important with respect to the norms that are set by kids and the introduction of new products, whether it's fidget spinners or vaping products or nicotine pouches.
Imperial says its products aren't meant for anyone under the age of 18 and tells stores to check ID. But until now, selling the pouches to kids was legal. That's because Health Canada approved Zonic to help adults quit cigarettes. The health minister has accused Imperial of using that as a loophole.
We were duped. Unfortunately, sometimes you get duped.
As Ottawa clamps down, community groups have scrambled to stop another nicotine product from addicting the next generation.
As a young person, you might not be able to differentiate exactly what it is. And you might just think that, oh, this product looks cool, like, let me try it out.
Researchers say governments need to get more nimble to better keep up with big tobacco.
We need to get past this period where the industry throws out products and we're blind until a year or two later when we say, oh, it's okay or it's not okay.
What's not clear is how many teens experimented with the pouches in the year they were readily available. Ottawa isn't tracking that. Health Canada did away with surveys dedicated to nicotine use within the last few years, just as vaping was taking off and pouches hit the market. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Kamala Harris is now the Democratic Party's official candidate for U.S. president. She accepted the nomination last night at the convention in Chicago.
So let's get out there. Let's fight for it. Let's get out there. Let's vote for it. And together, let us write the next great chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told. Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of
She wins in the fall. Harris will become the first female U.S. president, one who is Black and South Asian. She also has Canadian connections. Harris spent 5 years, starting when she was 12, living in Montreal. Meanwhile, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has suspended his campaign to become U.S. president and is throwing his support behind Republican candidate Donald Trump.
It's with a sense of victory and not defeat that I'm suspending my campaign activities. Not only did we do the impossible by collecting 1 million signatures, we changed the national political conversation forever. Chronic disease, free speech, government corruption, breaking our addiction to war have moved to the center of politics.
Kennedy says he continues to have differences with Trump on some issues, but is aligned on more. Kennedy's polling numbers have dropped since Kamala Harris joined the race. Kennedy, the nephew of former President John F. Kennedy, says his name will remain on some ballots, but not in key battleground states. Americans go to the polls November 5th. And Tyreek is back with one last look at your weather.
Yes, Sam. So we are going to be seeing those showers come in tonight here in Regina, but that shouldn't be too severe. A lot of that severe weather will be to the southwest, which we are still tracking. Waking up tomorrow morning to mostly clear and dry conditions. And as we head into tomorrow evening, that will continue. But of course, as we head into tomorrow night, we'll see another system of active weather make its way into the southeast. So that could rain on some outdoor parades. Looking at Saskatoon now, also seeing that rainfall tonight, heading into tomorrow morning, mostly dry conditions, and this will stick around as we head into tomorrow afternoon. We shouldn't see any active weather roll through Saskatoon tomorrow. That will just be southeast, Sam.
All right, thank you, Ty.
No problem.
And before we leave you this week, a story that could have been sad, but ends well. It begins when Salthaven West Wildlife Rehabilitation Center in Regina sprung into action after being told about a mother turtle. Her shell was cracked when she was run over.
We got a call about a turtle that was hit by a vehicle. It was showing fractured carapace, so there was a lot of blood, and it was very obvious that she had an injury in her carapace. So we managed her pain, and she was able to place some clasps on the carapace to be able to hold that area that was being separated. One thing that was awesome was to realize when she had x-rays at the veterinary center that they noticed she had eggs. It was wonderful to have her. It was wonderful to know that she's going to go back out there and lay her eggs. Western painted turtles are a species of special concern here in Saskatchewan, so we were very hopeful that she would make it. There are a lot of vehicle collisions with all kinds of turtles, so we do ask the public that if they do see a turtle on the road, they can stop and wait until the turtle crosses. If she's not moving, they can get off the vehicle if it's safe to do so, and help her cross and move her from the back, never by the tail, and move her towards the way they were going.
A little help for a turtle goes a long way. That is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can always head to cbc.ca/sask or /Saskatoon. You can subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel, or you can download the CBC News app on your phone or tablet. We'll be back on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.